Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day curd nerds. Welcome back. This is Ask the Cheeseman, episode 285. Lovely to see you all here. It's so good. So many people here today. It's lovely. Okay, first things first, thank you to all of the YouTube members and patrons for supporting the show. We've got a few new YouTube members, George Eel, thank you George, Santi Barbara and Jim Jackson have all renewed their memberships. So thank you so much. And new patrons, Jared Johnston, thank you Jared, and there's some photos from Jared in the gallery today. And Rebecca Patterson, thank you Rebecca for your financial support, really appreciate it. Without your support there wouldn't be much of a show, I don't think. Okay, hopefully everything's going okay. One thing I forgot to check, just checking the monitor to make sure it's working. Yep, there we go, all good. So videos coming up. We have got the Red Leicester. You've seen that one. It's just, well, if you haven't seen it, quick, go and have a look. It's really good. There's a taste test for it. This time we will be releasing the Cots chili video, which is a mashup of Cotswold, which has normally has onion flakes, chives, and sometimes garlic. I put garlic in it, and chili. So that'll be interesting. Kim's very excited for that one. When the taste test happens late September, I think. And there will be the Stilton taste test. That turned out amazing. So, and of course, we've got the gallery at 30 minutes past the hour. Lots of stuff in the gallery. So that is actually going to be a good gallery this week. Lots of contributions. So let's say good day to a few people. There are lots of people in the chat. Say good day to Becky, was the first person at 5 a.m. this morning, my time. And Shauna, hello Shauna and Nev. Valerie, hello Valerie. And Patricia and Paul, hello both of you. We've also got, just scrolling down, John, hello John, lovely to see you. Nolan Funpants, hello. And we've got Krogan Love, hello, how are you? Michael and Jenny, welcome, both of you. LE, hello, new to the channel. Fantastic, or new to the chat anyway. Nina, hello Nina, and thanks for the photos. Herb, g'day Herb, welcome back. John, hello John. And I'll get to your question in a sec. Mr. Bones, g'day. And thanks for your photo. Alon, I think it's Alon. Hello, how are you? Liz, g'day Liz. Mimi and Nawab. Roman Lorenzo, hello mate, how are you? Tracy Smith, g'day Tracy. And is that Croamar? I think that's how you say it. Welcome to everybody who's watching, even if you haven't commented. It's lovely to see all of you. Rightio, now we have some questions, so let's get stuck into it. The first question is from Becky, but I can't show it. So Becky, if you've got, if you can put your question back in, we'll get to that in a sec. Next question is from, let's have a look. There was a bit of a conversation about raw milk at the start. There is a question. Right, so John has a question and says, Gavin, what's the difference from cottage cheese and curds for poutine? Okay, so the curds from poutine are a lot firmer. They're more like fingers of curd. Whereas cottage cheese curds are a lot smaller and they're more creamier as well. Both can be eaten the same day, which is a fantastic thing. But yes, cottage cheese curds are a lot smaller and softer than the curds for poutine. You know, you can make a normal, for instance, follow a cheddar recipe and get the curds for poutine that way. Just cut up the fingers and serve them up that way. So that's the answer to that one. Next question is... Paul says, I need to build a bigger Dutch press that will fit some of the larger, louder moulds I was able to get. Yeah, indeed. Paul, if you need the plans for the press that I've got, they're available if you email me, and I can send them through to you. So if you want those, so just email me, Paul, and I will I'll get those to you for free. Ellie says, yesterday I opened a 3-year-old Parmesan that I made. It was too salty, but the good news is that I get to open the others and see if I left them too long. Yum. Very interesting. So the Parmesan too salty, so that would have been left in the brine too long, I would think. So yeah, so that's something to watch out for. Check your cheese log, or however you record the cheese as you make it, to make sure that you cut back on the brining time. Next question is from John, and says, are there any adjustments to the recipes if using raw milk? Yes, indeed. So all of the recipes that I use are typically for pasteurized, unhomogenized milk, or whole milk that has been pasteurized. So, John, to do any adjustments, so for raw milk, you don't need as much rennet, usually. You don't usually need any calcium chloride unless it's getting near the end of the lactation cycle, when you will need some. You can ease off on the lactic bacteria starter cultures as well, to reduce acidification, because in raw milk, of course, there are already lactic bacteria present. So there's some advice to help you on your cheese making way with raw milk. Krogan Love says, what other cheeses would you pair with a Dansk Blue on a board featuring blackberries? So really, with a cheese board, if you've got one of each few types of cheese, so one of each of the main types of cheeses, then you can't do wrong, really. So remembering back to the cheese board video and the way I set them up anyway. So usually I've got a blue, a white mold cheese. If I can get a washed rind cheese, then I'll pop one of those on as well. A cheddar-y style and an alpine style are the main 5 that I go for. So that's what I do. And then you get a nice balance. And then there's always something that everybody likes. So that's the way I do it. Alon says, did you know that Gavin is cheesemaker in Hebrew, which is very similar to Gavin, coincidentally? There you go. Yes, just change 2 letters and my name is cheesemaker in Hebrew. There you go. That's very cool. Thank you. That's nice to know. Michael says, oh, okay, right. Okay, so... Sorry. John says, way back in the old days, they must not have had rennet. So what did they use back then? They did actually have rennet. Rennet is from the 4th stomach of a ruminant. It's mainly concentrated on the lining of the stomach. So what they used to do is take that 4th stomach and they would heavily salt it and then dry it out. And then to add it to milk, they would cut or snip bits of the stomach lining off and soak it in water and then add it to the milk. And then you get good coagulation. Not sure who invented that style. It started to emerge around the time of the Greek Renaissance and the Roman times. So I don't know if they can be credited with inventing that method. But certainly they did use rennet. So it's chymosin and pepsin are the 2 enzymes that are in the lining of the stomach. So there you go. And also, the Romans also used fig sap to make a rudimentary cheese as well. And the Babylonians and Sumerians used to just leave the cheese out in the heat. The milk out in the heat and get a form of clabber, which they used to drain. And that was a soft cheese as well. So really, even though we've got these commercial versions of rennet, rennet has been around for thousands of years. So cheese making is not a new thing. It dates back to at least 4000 BC. They found evidence of soft cheeses in pharaohs' tombs dating way back when. Okay, Paul's got a question, and he says, Gavin, I really enjoy my cheddar, double Gloucester and Cheshire, but can you suggest similar cheeses I should try to make next? Paul, I just made one, Red Leicester. Go and check that out. Absolutely delicious. Same sort of style as those 3 cheeses, but a little bit of a different flavour than cheddar, that's sure. So go and try out Red Leicester. Another one is Lancashire. I have a recipe for that as well. It's a little bit firmer and crumblier than all those 4 cheeses. So go and check that out on the channel, mate. So you should be good to go. Nawab says, can we use brine solution made for Gouda cheese more than once? Instead of vinegar, can we use half water, half whey to acidify the brine solution? Nawab, yes, indeed you can. So you can use the brine over and over and over. What I tend to do is, if it's for a normal sort of cheese without any molds or anything, whether that be a washed rind or blue or white mold cheeses, If I brine those sorts of cheeses, then I'll tend to... the brine tends to get a bit funky and starts to smell a lot. And you can get some cross-contamination even if you boil a brine. But if you're using it just for chowder, then yeah, you can use it over and over again. Just you can pasteurize the brine in between uses without too much issue. Another question from, and this one's from Becky. I'm glad you got that one back in there. That's good. Becky says, my question is on dry salting. When you mentioned the percentage salt by curd weight, is it calculated on drained curd, which drops more in pressing? Yes, it is. So at the point where you mill the curds, that's when you weigh it. And that's when you add the percentage of salt that I usually mention. It's between about 2.2 to 2.7% of salt per weight of curds, depending on how salty you want it. But for a semi-hard cheese or hard cheese, and that's a pretty good percentage to go with. And you shouldn't have anything like bitterness or anything like that. Okay, oh, sorry, I should have read the rest of the question. Or is it on the final weight, which has to be estimated since salting happens during pressing? Yeah, so it's during the drained curd. And it says, I calculated my last cheese on drained curd and 2.2% ended up being 2.8% after pressing. Yeah, so it's before pressing and as you add the salt for dry salting. Okay, Roman Lorenzo says, what is the typical milk fat of sheep's milk? It's very, very high. Let me just have a quick look. I cannot remember off the top of my head, which is not a good thing. So the fat percentage of sheep's milk typically is 7%. So 7 grams per 7 grams of fat per 100 grams, so that's 7%. So it's very rich compared to, say, goat's milk and cow's milk. So there you go. Not sure how to say that. It's in Arabic. I can't translate it. What is the usual ratio of cheese to cream of cream cheese? Okay, so when I make cream cheese, I rarely add it unless I make a version called French cream cheese. And that is typically a ratio of about 10% extra cream to the milk normally. Just go and check out the recipe. Go and check out French cream cheese. There is also another cream cheese recipe which I just make with cow's milk, with a very rich cow's milk, and I don't add any cream to it at all. Okay. Simon says, hello, I just watched your video on Comté, and you have you had some again since? And what are some of your favourite French cheeses? Yes, I have bought Comté again. I managed to pick it up cheap again. It was authentic AOC Comté, so that was really good. It is delicious. It's amazing cheese. It's a very good thing. Hang on, I'll just get this. Thank you, Tracy, for the kind super chat. I'll get to that one in a second. So Comté is great. What are some of my favourite French cheeses? Roquefort, Camembert de Normandy, Brie. There's heaps. They're all good. I haven't met a French cheese I didn't like. In fact, I haven't met a cheese I haven't liked, unless it's a processed cheese. There we go. Happy birthday, Mr. Bones. Didn't realise it was your birthday. There we go. I missed that. Sorry about that. Happy birthday, Mr. Bones. Appreciate it. Have a great time. Tracy did a super chat. Where the heck is it? Tracy says, I love the latest video, Gav. As your good lady wife is a Brit, does she have any other favourites from Blighty? Well, yes, Cotswold. And you know what? She'd never tried it in England. Basically, it's called a pub cheese. So the closest she can get here in Australia to Cotswold is a cheese made by Mersey Valley, which is one of the companies here in Australia, and it's called pickled onions cheese. And to me, It's way too vinegary, so I don't know what they do to it. But she absolutely loves the Cotswold. She loves cheddar, of course, as well. She tried some of my Stilton the other day, which is a little bit creamier than, say, normal Stilton you would buy. And she loves that too. What else? Oh, Caerphilly, of course. So, she wasn't too keen on the Shropshire Blue because it was a little bit too strong. But any of the, like, Double Gloucester, Red Leicester, oh, she loved the Red Leicester that I served up the other day. So she thought that was absolutely fantastic. So there you go. That's just a few off the top of my head. Thank you so much for the very specific $13.99 super chat Canadian. Thanks. Back to the other questions. Becky says, also my final estimates are now inaccurate because we are in or coming up to calving season and presumably increased fat contents are giving me higher weights after pressing. Yeah, so before pressing, it's the weight of the curd after it's been drained just when you add the salt, as normal in the recipe. So that way, it doesn't matter how much fat or protein is in the milk, it's the total weight of the curds. Before pressing. There you go. Tracy says, can you use salt from the supermarket for your cheese making, or does it have to be only a cheese salt? Thanks in advance. Thanks, Tracy. Good question. So the only salt that I don't use is iodized salt. So the iodine can interfere with the lactic bacteria, can kill them off. So just make sure that you don't use any salt with iodine in it. So it has to be a non-iodized salt. So you can use sea salt, coarse salt, fine salt. If you use coarse salt, then it's actually a little bit lighter than what a fine salt is, because the fine salt, if you add it per tablespoon like I do, and I've estimated already what the percentage of the weight of the curd's going to be. But the best way to salt, as we did, as per Becky's question, is by weight of the curd after you've drained it. So between 2.1 and 2.7% of salt per weight of curd. If you're using metric, then it's very easy to figure out. Titus also says, I use no iodine salt for cheeses. Indeed, that's the way you do it. Boris says, g'day Gavin friends. Hello, Boris. Nolan says, you only have to change 40% of your name and you're a Hebrew cheesemaker. There you go. Welcome back, Croesus of Borg. Lovely to see you. All the cheeses shall be assimilated. Krogan Love says, my local grocery store just set up a cheese display with Grana Padano, and on the labels of the fresh cut wedges, the cheese guy wrote in Grana Padano forbidden cheese. Oh, should have put cheese and Swiss cheese. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. So somebody watches the channel. They knew. That is so funny. Excellent. For those who don't know, most of you probably do, but for those who are new, back in March or April 2020, just at the start of the pandemic, I was served a cease and desist from the Consorzio of Grana Padano cheesemakers, because apparently I was making counterfeit cheese. So the lawyer says anyway. And I did a video on it, and it was it went crazy. So many people looked at it. There was legal YouTubers did a legal stand on it, saying I shouldn't take the video down and all this stuff. Anyway, I took the video down as per their request. They then sent me another letter from the head of the consorzio, and not the lawyer. And they apologised profusely because the backlash from the YouTube and Reddit community to the Consorzio webpage was overwhelming their web server. So it was hilarious. So they apologised and offered me, when I'm in Italy, to go and check out them and get a free tour of one of the Grana Padano facilities. Anyway, the egg's on their face, really, because what I did was I dubbed out any reference to Grana Padano in the cheese recipe, took out any offending trademarks, and basically called it the cheese and desist cheese. So, yeah, and the views from that video was just exceptional. So, thanks, Krogan, for bringing back some memories and letting me tell that story. So that was really cool. John says, I've heard of some cultures as in social cultures, bury food underground, so I guess cheese would be okay if it was kept cool. Indeed. So cheese does last a long time when it's kept cool. Typically, for longer term storage between 7 and 13 degrees Celsius is perfect. We've got the Curd Nerd light going off again. That is fantastic. This one is from Paul. Thank you, Paul. And thank you for the kind $20 super chat. Paul says, Gavin, with louder moulds, I believe the pressing time is about 90 minutes. If I make a big pot of curds and want to press 2 cheeses, can I keep the curds warm until the second pressing? The longer that you keep the curds in the pot, the longer they're going to acidify, Paul. So remember, just keeping them in the way, just sitting there at the target temperature, they will continue to acidify rapidly until it starts to cool down during pressing. 90 minutes, probably not so bad, won't make that much of a difference, depending on the starter cultures you use. So you could get away with it. So check, give it a try, see what happens. You may just find that the second one is a little bit more acidic than the first one. So hope that helps, mate. And thank you for the kind super chat. Chromar says, what makes the Red Leicester red? Chromar, if you had have gone and watched the Red Leicester video, which I will link in the chat. Let me just do that because we're into that sort of stuff here. If we go to the channel, we can go and search. No, we don't need to search. Do we need to search? Let's see if I can find it. There it is. There's the Red Leicester video. Let me just bring that up. Hopefully it won't play. There we go. What a good looking bloke. Let me just grab the link and I'll pop that in the chat. Oh, goodness me. What am I doing? Here we go. So go and check out the Red Leicester video. But to answer it, the answer is Anato. Anato makes Red Leicester red. There you go. It's a berry of a plant in South America. There you go. It's called the lipstick plant. Right. Moving right along. The next question is from something in Arabic. Sorry about that. I can't read your name. YouTube doesn't translate. I once tried to make cheese from 1 litre of milk without any ingredients except a bit of salt. I got a curd and it looks and feels like cheese but without any of the flavour. Is there any way to add the flavour? It's called aging. So if you used raw milk, fantastic. If it curdled by itself, it's called clabber. Give it any more flavour. Aging is the way to get flavour, as the proteins and fats break down from the action of not only the lactic bacteria, but any enzymes are left behind once they die. So that's how it happens. John says, can you use malt vinegar for which? For coagulation? Yes, any vinegar will do. Boris says, I've been trying to find commercial equipment for producing at scale enough to sell my cheese, but all I can find is a factory-sized stuff that cost $10,000. Surely there's something in between. I actually have seen, I don't know, I think they're from China and they do import them. I don't know how much they are, but I have seen 100-litre vats, stainless steel vats with a water jacket that you'll have to plumb in. So what they do, it's just a not a bowl within a bowl. It's actually welded and all that stuff. It has a water jacket that you can pass warm water to adjust the temperature. But yeah, commercial cheese making equipment is expensive because it's all specifically made. So yeah, Boris, you may not have, you may not be able to get anything cheap. You will have to invest in that sort of stuff. What you could do is, see, even if you found a copper cauldron like they do in, say, Switzerland, and put it over a fire, the copper itself is highly, very expensive. So, yeah, look, you just may have to upscale at home by going to larger size pots and heating them milk directly. So, anyway, so there you go. The Forgotten Passenger says, hey, did you try the Red Leicester as grilled cheese on toast? If so, thoughts? The other day, I did have a toasted cheese sandwich with the Red Leicester, and yes, it was exceptional. It melted very well, browned on top. So it's not like a grilled cheese sandwich, totally different. So what I think Forgotten the Passengers means is, well, here in Australia, and I think in the UK too, you toast the bread, put the cheese on top, then put it under a griller so that just the top grills, and the cheese melts and goes a little bit brown. But yeah, delicious. Delicious. Patricia says, my sheep's milk was 6% milk fat and the water buffalo milk was 8%. So yeah, all very interesting. And that's a little bit low for buffalo milk. I thought it was about 10 to 12%. But yeah, I'm going to go and check out that Indian grocer today and see if I can find some water buffalo milk. I don't know how expensive it is. I'd love to make some mozzarella. So with the traditional way, adding cultures to buffalo milk. See if I can get it to work. That would be absolutely fantastic. So. Croesus Borg says 10,000 is not a lot to invest for commercial purposes. Yeah, like I said, it's not cheap stuff. Anyway, so let me just start the gallery. It's gallery time. My alarm went off. I don't know what I'm thinking here. Let me just bring that up and we'll get that all going because we've got lots to cover today. Let me see if I can just do the gallery. Where the heck is it? Where's the button for the gallery? There is no button. Gav, what's going on? Haven't set this up very well, have you? Right, there we go. There's the gallery. So the gallery is pictures sent in to me by you. So the more pictures you send, the longer the gallery is and the more exciting it is. So the very first cheese is from Nina. And she has sent me in a farmhouse cheddar blue. So let me just go through the blurb that she sent me. It says, hi Gavin, sharing some photos of my farmhouse cheddar blue. I followed your recipe and sent you a photo last week. Well, finally I opened it. 2 months aged. All I can say is, wow, what an amazing flavour. This is my favourite cheese so far. It's not too strong in the blue flavour, but enough to make it really tasty. Probably a good cheese for someone who is not sure if they like blue. There's a little bit of veining, but not a huge amount. So next time I will pierce it a few more times. I didn't start brushing the rind until after a month ago, and that really helped get rid of the faint ammonia smell. And then I could see the natural rind underneath. The texture is dry and crumbly towards the rind and softer in the middle with lovely complex flavours. Thank you for sharing your recipe. I'm definitely going to make another one for Christmas. Cheers, Nina. So this is Nina's cheese. That's the rind after she's brushed it. And there it is in the inside. So a little bit drier near the edge, as you can see here. See on the edge here. And a little bit of veining in the middle, which is fantastic. So as long as you get some blue in there, that's all that matters really. And it does say 3 months, but she's corrected it with a subsequent email and says she mucked up the title. It's actually 2 months. I think there's another piece. There we go. So there's her fingernail with the cheese. And let it see, there's some veining just there. If you can see my pointer, there it is. So delicious looking cheese. There's a little bit of a story about this recipe. So I didn't find it in any recipe book. I actually came up with it myself. And the reason being, I made some farmhouse cheddar, kept it in the fridge, wrapped in saran wrap or cling wrap, what we call it here in Australia. And it was a silly thing to do because it got infected with blue mold, and there were veins and stuff everywhere. And I went, well, I'll try and eat it and see what it tastes like. And it just tasted bloomin' amazing, as they say. And I thought, well, I'm sure I can introduce the blue mold into a farmhouse cheddar normally, because it has these lovely cracks, as you can see. See all these small mechanical holes, which is absolutely perfect for introducing oxygen into the center of the cheese. So I came up with that recipe based on a stirred curd or farmhouse cheddar, and introduced Penicillium roqueforti to it, and the rest is history. And Nina's cheese is a testament to that great recipe. So if you haven't tried it already, go and check out my farmhouse cheddar blue. I'm pretty sure the recipe is in actually both of my my cheese making books, plus the video's free on YouTube, of course. All right, the next one, thank you, Nina, for sending those in. The next one is Mr. Bones, who's on the channel, a little bit small. Here we go, make it bigger. A little bit pixelated, but that's okay. It says, hello, Gavin. This week I made your queso fresco recipe. Let me know what you think. For me, it tasted delicious. Thank you, Mr. Bones. Well, it looks pretty good to me too, so well pressed. The good thing about queso fresco is you can eat it the same day, so there's never any big deal with the flavour, really. It's just how much you salt the cheese. Makes, you know, how much flavour comes out in that cheese. So after the 6-hour pressing the same day, you can actually cut into queso fresco and eat it. It's delicious. You know, my whole family loves queso fresco. And in fact, it was the first cheese that I taught my son Ben to make. He loves queso fresco. And I taught him how to make it for his, I think it was his 18th birthday, maybe 17th. But yeah, he loved it. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Bones, for sharing that. The next one is from Mark. And Mark says, hi, Gav. Just a short note with some feedback on your Jarlsberg tutorial. The video was fantastic. I bought the enzymes I needed from you as a result. Attached are the resulting photos. My cheese tried its best to escape the wax, much as yours did. Mine was a little bit more exuberant, possibly due to the unpasteurized farm milk. Yes, that would do it. Anyway, love your work. You are my go-to cheese maker, slowly making my way through all your recipes with good results. Hope you and yours are well. Regards, Mark, an ex-Meltonite. A person from Melton. So, Jarlsberg, yes. So, it's you've got a natural wax on there, so it's bursting out of the wax. And same again. But let's have a look at the inside. Here's the big reveal. Oh, look at that. Look at those eyes. Aren't they amazing? That is cut into the wax. So, perfect looking Jarlsberg. And he says it tasted amazing. So, you know, what can I say? Fantastic looking cheese and tasting cheese. So thank you, Mark, for sharing those results of the Jarlsberg video tutorial and recipe that I came up with. So there we go. Very cool. Okay, the next one is from Becky, who I hope is still watching. It's gone past, what is it, midnight in South Africa, where she is. Becky says, Dear Gavin, I am a new subscriber, although I've been watching your Ask the Cheeseman videos for a while now. I've been making cheese for a little over a year. My soft cheeses are better at the moment than the hard ones. Twice in 2 consecutive videos, Robiola has been mentioned, so I thought I would send pictures. First is the plain Robiola. It is a goat's milk cheese, really easy to make, and only uses plain mesophilic culture, a longer than usual culturing and renneting, and is only 10 minutes of stirring, and it requires no press. I'm using ricotta molds. It seems to do really well in the normal fridge. I do a 3-litre batch at a time because it has to be eaten within 40 days. I prefer it less than 30. And 3 litres gives me 3 little rounds like the picture number 1, which is the one on the screen. It is ready in as little as 4 days. I gave some as a gift to my friend, and she sent back a picture of what she did with it. All right, let's have a look at that one. Oh, very nice. It says she served it with basil pesto. Her husband makes his own chili sauces, and there was another Robiola that he dressed up with his sauce, but he snaffed it before he could get a picture of it. Oh, there you go. These are just cell phone pictures. Hope the resolution's okay. Yes, indeed. If not, I'll send better. No, don't worry about it. That's great. Thanks for all the help you give, Becky Stelsner. Thank you, Becky. The cheese looks amazing. And so does that pesto. Looks pretty wicked as well. So, simple looking cheese. I've actually found a recipe for Robiola. And it's in the fourth generation. Hang on, let me just have a quick look. So anybody who's interested in the recipe, let me just go back to here. I found a recipe in Home Cheese Making by Ricky Carroll. This is the 4th edition, so there is a fairly simple recipe which I'm going to follow and make a video on. So yeah, anyway, back to the gallery. What the heck's me notes gone? Right, so thank you, Becky, for sending that in and for prompting me to write that cheese down on my list. It is a fairly simple looking cheese to make, which is good. I like simple cheeses. The next one is from Ben, and Ben is in New Zealand. It says, Ben says, "Hi, you two." He's referring to Kim and I.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
No, Alexa, stop it. Right. So as so many, I am a big fan of your channel and your passion, and thank you very, very much for giving so many people the confidence and ability to make their own cheese. This is a great gift, and you certainly make the world a bit better. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it, mate. Being from Germany, Berlin, not Cologne, and now living permanently in New Zealand, I not only miss the variety of European cheeses, but also the much cheaper prices. In New Zealand, I can't afford the cheeses I like to eat if I actually would be able to source them. But thanks to you, I don't need to relocate back to Germany. Also, thank you for the lovely personal message when you order from you. I keep it in our kitchen, a celebrity autograph, and it makes me smile. There is a little autograph. There it is. He's put it in his cheese cave. How cute's that? Very nice. Yeah, when somebody orders from me, I write a little note for them. Personalised in my own handwriting even. But yeah, this is Ben's cheese cave. So from the top, there's Howder with Flora Danica. Must be this beast here that's starting to come out. Can we... Yeah, so he's got labels. How good's this? This is the cheese fridge. I like this a lot. Looks like he's crafted it all himself, which is cool. So the next one is Alpine Tome, and then a Tome style with Flora Danica as well. And middle left, in here somewhere, is a 2 kilogram Appenzeller, and then a Piora middle back, Gruyere middle front, 2.8 kilogram Parmesan vacuum packed. Where's that? Down here. Yep, there we go. And then there's Chowder on top of the Parmesan here. And then we've got an Asiago Papato just here. And this bit here, half a howder. And Jarlsberg on the kitchen bench top and Masata. Okay, kitchen bench top? Huh? No, can't see that. And there's Montasio in a brine. Maybe there's a photo I didn't get. But, Ben, that is outstanding. They are all great-looking cheeses. And I love the meat, too, that you've got curing in there. Good use of cheese and meat in the same fridge. So, well done. And thank you for the kind note. I really appreciate it. And well done. All right. The next one is from Eugene. Eugene's in Japan. Eugene says, "Hi Gavin, I think I have worked out the kinks and am now able to make cheese. Here is my latest, Buddha-Kaiser. Thanks for all your help and products. I was able to get in touch with the guy who makes the curd harps and ordered one to be delivered to Japan. It worked a treat and made things so much easier. Thanks again so much, Eugene." Thank you, Eugene. Looks like you're using a Lauder mould even, the one from the Netherlands. That is a really good looking cheese. So I'm sure your Buddha-Kaiser will turn out exceptional. But yeah, that is really good. I know milk is really expensive in Japan, as you've told me previous. So that must be quite a little bit of a costly sort of cheese. But there we go. So Buddha-Kaiser, and it's ready in September. Send me a photo, Eugene, when it's all finished and you've tasted it. I'm sure it will be absolutely amazing. So well done. Well done. Okay, so the next one is from... This is from Jared, and Jared's having some issues. He says, "Hi, Gavin." So he's trying to make... What's he trying to make here? What is this cheese? This is a Cantal, I think. Yes, it is. It says, "The problem is that every time I flip the cheese, pieces fall off. Is this normal to have such a textured surface?" No, it's not normal. I'm worried that when I wipe it with the brine, it will be disturbed even more, and the little crevices in the surface might cause problem. Why didn't my curds press together properly the second time? Should I continue with the recipe? I came back to Jared and says, "Have you salted and pressed at the 45 pounds of pressure yet? It should close the rind and so that it is smooth. From what I read, there are many pressings over the 2 to 3 day period, turning it once every 24 hours. And then he came back and said, yes, he's added the salt, did the second pressing. The recipe said from 20 to 45 pounds for 2 to 3 days. I pressed at 22 pounds for the first 24 hours, then flipped and pressed at 34 pounds for the next 24 hours. Cheers, Jared. So the rind's not closed, hasn't been pressed hard enough, and the curds looked like they were probably too cold to get that pressing. So I would have gone up to at least 50 pounds to close the rind. Because what happens when the rind's like this, it is so prone to infection by yeasts and molds. The rind really does protect the cheese. So that is a bit of an issue. You really need to press harder to get that rind to close up. So even though the recipe says X amount of pressure at X amount of time, you really need to judge it by the way the cheese is reacting to the pressing. And if you can keep it at least at room temperature, the warmer the rind, the better it is. One way to close up the rind, if you've had, if you find this at the end of your final pressing, is to warm up some water to about 38 degrees Celsius and press it underwater, and that'll close the rind up and shouldn't get rid of too many milk fats in the cheese. So that is one way to fix that, but the time's long gone past, so best to vacuum pack it and hope for the best, and then just proceed as normal. So there's another one from Jared, and it says, I thought I'd update you regarding the pecorino, which we showed last week, in case you're interested. I think it's firm inside but hard to tell. I left it on the bench for 24 hours to dry out. I think it was dry but not 100% sure. When I vacuum packed it, some thick creamy coloured liquid came out. You can see it in the picture. Ah, yes, a little bit here. So that would have been under the rind. That was all wrinkly and yucky. Okay, and then it's starting to collapse in the bag by the looks of it. So, look, you could continue. So it's just photo 3. Here it is today. You can see a lot more liquid has come out, and it feels a fair bit softer. I've moved it to the normal fridge to await your decision. Well, it's actually your decision, Jared. It's your cheese. My recommendation would be to eat it now. It looks like the rind was compromised, so I don't think much is going to... it's not going to get any better, if that makes sense. So the curds were too soft, too much whey when you put it into... Pecorino should be really hard, should be firm, and should dry out when you're doing the natural rind thing, but the amount of milky whey that's coming out of the cheese, like here and here, is a telltale sign that the rind's been compromised. And I don't think it doesn't matter how much drying out of this cheese you're going to do, or how long you're going to keep it in the vacuum pack. I don't think it's going to get any better. So that's unfortunate, but we all try, and the only way we learn is through mistakes. So anyway, thank you, Jared, for sending that in. Last but not least on the gallery, and I know we're running nearly to the end of the show, but this is really interesting stuff. So this is from Michael and Jenny. He says, "Hi Gavin, it was time to open up our sage and spinach derby. It was very flavoursome cheese, and using fresh spinach and sage from our garden. The texture was a little soft and creamy with more dominant sage flavour. It looked really great and tasted amazing too." So that is a beautifully coloured cheese, and I can just taste it in my mouth now. Some great looking cheese there. A little bit of mechanical holes, but nothing you can do there. But that cheese looks exceptional, Michael and Jenny. Fantastic work. And there it is in close up. I love the marbling effect with the green. So yeah, adding a little bit of spinach, juicing that up and adding the sage to the cheese makes an exceptional flavour for sage derby. It is really good. And the next photo is Jenny is on the left there. I've met Jenny, and this is Trish, Jenny's friend, and it says here, "Thanks Gavin, I think it's one of the best cheeses we made," referring to the sage derby. Jenny gave one of her friends, Trish, a cheese experience for her birthday. They are making halloumi in the kitchen with a couple of wines. Thanks for all your help and advice, Michael and Jenny. So I've actually met Michael and Jenny, lovely people. They're in Adelaide, and it's so fantastic that Jenny's teaching Trish how to make cheese. And halloumi is a great beginner's cheese to start with. Absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much to the both of you for sending those photos of your sage and spinach derby in, and of Jenny and Trish making halloumi. It warms the cockles of my heart for others to begin teaching cheese making as well. Even if it's just to your best mate, you know, it's a great thing. Alrighty, that's the gallery for today. Thank you one and all. I really appreciate all of the photos that you guys and girls sent in. Or curd nerds, I should say. What am I saying? But yeah, absolutely fantastic. So if you want to learn... if you want to learn cheese making, of course, that's what you're here for. If you want to send in photos to the gallery, how do we do that? Gav, come on, let's show the peoples. So we go to the channel, Gavin Weber, that's me, or cheeseman.tv, and we go to the About tab just here. You can only do this in a browser, by the way, not on the iOS or Android apps. So go to About, and down here it says Details. For business inquiries, view email address. So click on that, and that's the email address that you can send all of your cheese making photos to. So go and check that out. If you've got some photos, even if you've got some cheeses that you're not sure about and you want some advice, happy to do that during the gallery, like we did with Jared's cheese. So fantastic. Thank you for sending those in. Alrighty. Next question is from Reza. Says, "Hello, Gavin. What is the best sous vide for cheese making? I see the short video about it." So I did a long form video about that, Reza. But let me just bring up. I got a blog post that I can link to where I did what I recommended. Where the heck is it, Gav? I will find the link and pop it in. Here it is. Now there is just a notification. There is a affiliate link that I get a small commission if you purchase via the link within that blog post. So it's in the chat now. It's about difficulty heating milk during cheese making. So yeah, go and check that out. And there is a super chat there from Patricia. Thank you, Patricia. Set the curd nerd light off, of course. Gavin, there is a Robbiola recipe in Artisan Cheese Making at Home by Mary Carlin. Do I have that here? I do. So Patricia's referring to this book, Artisan Cheese Making at Home by Mary Carlin. I'll go and check that recipe out. So if you've made it before, Patricia, and tell me what you think of it. But yeah, thank you so much for the $5 Canadian. Really appreciate it. Okay, there's only 5 minutes to go, so let's see if I can plough through. What do we do? What's this called? A lightning round. Goodness me. Liz says, this morning I'm making chowder using raw milk. Last week I made one with pasteurised milk. It's going to be interesting to compare them when they mature. I'm not exactly sure what to expect. I would ease off, Liz, on the starter cultures by about 25%. Same as the rennet. If you're using raw milk, fresh raw milk, then you will need less rennet as well. So there's some tips. If you use the same amount of culture as you did with pasteurised with raw milk, then you'll find that you may get over-acidification and the chowder will taste a lot stronger, the raw milk one. There we go. John says, what is the best water? Hang on. What's best water to use distilled? Beats me. Distilled water is distilled water. I use pure water, which has just been filtered and doesn't have any fluoride or chlorine in it, because the chlorine in water can affect rennet coagulation, which is why I always say use non-chlorinated water when you're adding your rennet and your calcium chloride to the milk. Krogan says most of the really good cheeses we're getting in the USA lately are coming from Australia. That's very interesting. Yeah, there are some great Australian cheesemakers that are really honing their craft. Krogan says California wine and Australian cheese with a Florida sunset. Very nice. Roman Lorenzo says, I tried to use the whey from your quick mozzarella recipe to make ricotta, but it didn't curdle. Do you know what happened and how to fix it? Yes, don't use the whey from the quick mozzarella recipe because it's been acidified with citric acid already, and you will not get ricotta from that whey. Any cheese that has either been acidified using acid, like vinegar or citric acid, then or by lactic coagulation, so like cream cheese or something like that, that whey doesn't have much whey protein in it at all, and you will not get ricotta. So that's how you fix it. Don't use it. Use any cheese that's been coagulated using rennet and hasn't been set with acid as well, or doesn't have extra acid in it, then you usually get some ricotta, especially if you're using raw milk. Nawab says, what's the reason all the curds don't become small as beans? Only half. After I change the whey with water in chowder. Can it be because of using a bit of excess rennet? Yeah, so the more rennet you use in the milk, the harder the curds go, and they lock in whey inside, and they won't shrink because the surface of the curds are too strong and they won't release the liquid. So ease off on the rennet and next time, because if you're using raw milk, which I assume you are, then yeah, that'll be the issue. Nina says, for your information, Berries Creek Cheese from South Gippsland won the International Cheese and Dairy Award this week in the United Kingdom. It's the first time an Australian company has won in 125 years. Their blue cheese is amazing. Thank you, Nina. That is amazing. And it's nearly as good as mine. Well done. Very good. Becky says, check the labels on supermarket salt. I used kosher salt that didn't say iodized on the front, but my hubby noticed fine print. It had iodate solution. Turns out even rock salt can be sprayed with it. Yes, so always check your salt to make sure there is no iodine in it. Liz says, don't get squashed if you go to check out the Grana Padano caves. Yes, I won't. I probably will never get there. I've been to Italy before, so it's a lovely place, but I don't know. I don't think I'll be going back. How much time? No, we've run out of time. So that is the end of the show. Sorry about that. So many more questions in the chat. So thank you so much for everybody who sent in photos to the chat today. Don't forget that if you want to learn how to make cheese in a structured manner, then you could do so over at the Curd Nerd Academy. Got 2 courses currently, working on a 3rd at the moment. Go and check those out. They're reasonably priced, and yeah, you can learn how to make cheese. It's great stuff. If you want to get some supplies to make your cheese from all my recipes, go and check out littlegreenworkshops.com.au. And we ship all over the world, except for the few countries I'm not allowed to. And if you want some amazing merch, whoop, there's the cup. Certified Curd Nerd. Go and check out merch.cheeseman.tv. Thanks, everybody. And I could say thanks Curd Nerds, and see you next time. But today I'm going to say, stay fresh, cheese bags. Have a great week. And don't forget, if you've never made cheese yet, give it a go. You've got to start somewhere. I'm always here to back you up. Got your back. So I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching, Curd Nerds. See you next time. Bye-bye.